Vyrah, reporting for duty, another time together. We're gonna do some React. Yeah, that's pretty much. I still don't fucking know how to fucking like do an intro. All the people say hello. Like, is there a fucking guide somewhere? For fuck's sake. Alright, let's get into reacting. Like, yeah, I got some things that I want to watch, something that I want to check up and like see what's new. All right. Oh my fucking god. Where the fuck is... I would like to fucking know where the fuck... What? Where the fuck did... Okay, let me just like check my fucking volume mixer. What the fuck? Volume mixer. Oh my open the volume mixer. Okay, where's the sound coming from? Fuck. I'm guessing. I'll just quit Chrome. It was Chrome. I don't know where the fuck, but I have so many fucking tabs that it will be complicated. Okay. Oh fuck, I could have like just checked. Okay, let me just do the verification of is my fucking... I just need to fucking check this out once and I always forget, and it leads me to fucking like being like, oh my fucking god. Let me just do that. Official trailer, Crunchyroll. Wait, it's 3 years old. I cannot fucking like live with like losing footage, but like at the same time, oh my fucking god, I'm so unmotivated. Okay, there is sound. It's perfect. It's good enough. Fuck me, fuck you, and let's oh god, and let's get into it. Actually, I want to fucking check out a fucking music. Okay, if you never heard of the punk rock NBA, this is it. This is your moment. Like, life is really awesome. This guy is does like music commentary and documentaries and stuff like that. The sudden rise of baby metal. Baby metal is a death metal band from Japan that does like kind of like as a J-pop vibe, and that I really like, that I actually learned to like, because like technically like it became like quite the fucking band. Industry plans, I really don't care if they are or not, because they're really talented. But like the sudden rise, where did they come from? Because like there was like a time where like yeah, like there was a time with like without like baby metal, and now like it's they really succeeded at becoming like recognized. So let's check this out.
Oh god, and I do not care if there is a difference.
What's up, everybody? I'm Finn McKenty. This is the Punk Rock NBA, and today we're here to talk about none other than Baby Metal, who are one of the most recognizable and unique voices in modern metal. They're known for combining various genres of metal, such as...
It is true. It is absolutely true. They are really recognizable in their ways. Like, Really check it out if you never fucking did. You need to love Japanese though. Like I understand if Japanese is not your vibe, like to Japanese, it's still Japanese music, right? But still, like if you like how Japanese music sounds, like this is baby metal, is like you gotta fucking just check it out for yourself because it is that good.
There's death metal, thrash metal, metalcore, and all kinds of other stuff, all with the cutesy vocals of a Japanese idol group. Pretty strange combination, right? And yet somehow it totally works. And if you're not familiar, they sound...
It does totally works. Like for real, the clips and stuff, like the music videos, like really, it is really fucking did, and it's really like smooth and beautiful.
Like this. Definitely not what you expect from your average metal band, right? And yet they're crushing it, selling out arenas all over the world with millions of Spotify listeners. But they're also one of the most controversial bands in modern metal because they didn't...
Okay, this I want to know because technically I know nothing about baby metal. If there are like industry plants like he wrote, I really don't give a fuck because like technically industry plants, if at the end of the day it's just people that got that push up from a brand, from like basically a studio, it's fine if at the end of the day it's they do music, right, or they do art, right? And baby metal, they actually do art, so it's like, yeah, good artists got noticed and they got promoted, and it was the right thing to do. So this is kind of like my opinion on like industry plants. Like if it's like for an actual artist and it actually has a meaning, fuck yeah, like who cares if you're a sellout? Everyone is fucking struggling in this industry anyway, in the music industry anyway.
Come together like your average metal band where they met in high school shop class or whatever. Instead, they were put together by a Japanese idol management group in the same way as we would think of a pop act like NSYNC.
Oh yeah, idol groups like manager, basically like their groups. For K-pop, it's like you can get more info, but J-pop as well. So basically, like these people, they know how to fucking like schedule like your fucking career as an idol. An idol is basically in between, like basically a singer and a celebrity and a top model, like some kind of like. And basically, like they are like they know how to fucking promote and sell this. So it's not like that complicated. They're not like industry plants, but like it's literally people that like are like they have the training and they know how to do it. If you're curious about it, it's actually like really people really controlling and in Korea with like K-pop becoming so big, like it became like quite dark at times, but like it's really like professionals about like they don't fuck around about like actually doing music and art and being an idol. The idol world is like such a beautiful thing.
Backstreet Boys would be. And so the question is, how did they become some of the fastest rising stars in metal seemingly overnight? And even more importantly, what does their success say about metal fans? And of course, the question everybody asks about baby metal, are they industry plants? Those are the questions that I will try to answer in this video. And also, I want to thank Extra for sponsoring this video. Extra is known for inventing the first trackable wallet, and now they're on a mission to upgrade the rest of your carry essentials. They make sustainable wallets, bags, and accessories to help you get more out of every day. One thing I like is that they're super slim, about half the size of a conventional wallet, but it still carries over 12 cards in cash. See? And you can get all your cards out by clicking this trigger. Very satisfying. And it has RFID protection to prevent data theft. It's also sustainable, made of materials like vegan Italian leather and space-grade aluminum. You can also track your wallet from your phone using the solar-powered tracking device. So if you want to check it out, use my code PUNKROCKMBA to get up to 45% off. Just hit the link in the description of this video. Are our story begins back in 2009 when a music producer named Kobayashi Ken, better known as Koba Metal, embarked on this idea of creating a fusion group that combined idols with metal. And if you're not familiar, the term idol in Japan essentially means an entertainer, usually a singer or some sort of social media personality, and the main appeal of those idols is their attractiveness and their usually manufactured personality, like Justin Bieber, Christina Aguilera, or Elvis Presley. And it doesn't seem that far off in terms of comparison to Western pop artists.
They also have like a different idols. They have a different connection to their audience, to their public, basically to their fans. It's like, especially in Japan, because like, but like for real, like if you, I won't talk about it too much because like it's really actually like such a cool world and interesting world. So if you're curious, try to check out like some stories about like K-pop, like to start up, like because it's really that's fucking cool, and you wouldn't expect that these people, they're such fucking like so professional in what they do. But the idol world is like just like it's a bunch of psychos as well, you know, like
but in this case it's even a bit more industry manufactured. And to be clear, in my opinion, there's nothing necessarily wrong with the idea of putting together a group like this. In the eyes of a lot of American rock fans, there's sort of this idea that the performer and the songwriter have to be the same person, but I'm not sure that that has to be the case or that that's necessarily even realistic. Because if you think
yeah, and technically, like, if they're not connected to now, like the songwriter is still a songwriter, so it doesn't mean that like it's just like some people just they cannot fucking like dance and fucking sing, but they can songwrite, you know, like they cannot fucking perform, you know.
Think about it, there's very few people who have the star power, the capability to write music and perform it in a charismatic way. The number of people who have all of those three things is very, very small. And recognizing that, the Japanese music industry seeks out people who do have that charismatic star power and builds a team behind them who can help them with other stuff like marketing, writing their music, creating their look, and so forth. And in the eyes of Japanese fans, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how the industry works. How you feel about that is up to you, but just something to keep in mind as we go on. And getting back to the origin of baby metal in particular, the producer Koba Metal recognized the talents of Suzuka Nakamoto from her prior group called Karen Girls, and he envisioned her as the perfect fit for this new group that he had in mind. The group was officially formed in 2010 in Tokyo, Japan, as a subset of an already established female idol ensemble.
I'm not like into like K-pop or J-pop like mega fan, right? But like like baby metal is also like a good introduction to beautiful choreographies over music that like you don't get in other that you only get if you love J-pop or K-pop. And basically like this is really like something like really beautiful to do and really entertaining to fucking watch, like
called Sakura Gakuin, which they referred to as the Heavy Music Club. And right out of the gate, baby metal did get some initial traction on their early singles, as well as festival appearances all over Japan and in other places in Asia like Singapore, but nothing that really stood out compared to their other peers in the idol industry. And back then they were pretty much completely unknown in the West, other than maybe some people who were super into Japanese culture, aka weeaboos. But all of that was about to change in the year 2013. The two singles that they released that year, called Jime Dame Zettai and Megitsune, earned them a whole lot more attention than they had gotten before. And this is right about the time when you may have started to hear a little bit more about them on the West in any kind of larger scale, all of which culminated in the release of their debut self-titled album, which came out in February of 2014. And as most of you know, for baby metal, this was a really big deal. If you were reading metal blogs at the time, this was like one of the main topics of conversation among metal fans for that entire year. Every metal outlet was covering them all the time, but to me, what was even more interesting is that they were able to get the attention of people who typically don't even listen to metal at all. To give you an example of what I mean, the video for Gimme Chocolate currently sits at 200 million views, and the biggest reaction channel on YouTube did a video about them where they had various big YouTubers react to baby metal, and that video itself has millions of views.
just look like they're having so much fun. Like,
Look, I could just imagine myself being at this show.
This was much more than just another album that made waves in the metal scene. This was like something that penetrated into mainstream pop culture. And musically, this album is completely all over the place, but I think in a good way. It essentially combined elements of every major metal subgenre while having these Japanese idol archetypes on vocals. For example, it has songs that are just like straight up power metal, while at the same time having moments that are just pure death metal. And what I think really stood out about the way that baby metal approached genre bending is that for a lot of artists, they try to do it in a way that feels seamless and natural. For example, if you listen to a band like A Day to Remember, where they combine metalcore and pop punk, but it still just really feels like this one cohesive thing that feels like a very organic, natural.
Actually, that's true. Baby metal is really like, it feels natural to fucking like, to just like admire, you know, to just fucking like enjoy. It doesn't fucking take you out, and we're talking about Japanese fucking metal, where it's like the language barrier, as much as like I love Japanese, I know that like the language barrier is complicated to some, and that like you cannot fucking just like get into like loving Japanese for the way it sounds in a just after hearing it once, you know, like it's really something that like not every language has, but like for Japanese there is like a time of adaptation, and I can understand why some people cannot fucking stand just like hearing like a TV show or like hearing Japanese music just because it sounds so unique and different, you know, like to each their own.
Natural blend. But with baby metal, it is the exact opposite of that. With them, they did it more with the intent of seemingly to shock the listener, where these genre changes just come out of nowhere in a really jarring, chaotic kind of way. And at first, I was not really the biggest fan of baby metal. The exact moment that converted me to a fan is I went to Santa Barbara on a honeymoon with my wife after we got married. We went to a Japanese store there called Daiso, and they were playing some like crazy metal in the store. I couldn't quite make it out, but I was like, what in the fuck is this? This is like nothing else I've ever heard before. And then I realized it was baby metal. I gave them another shot, and I became a fan. Like I said, it took a little bit of time for me to get used to it, but once I got what they were going for, it really made sense to me. And of course, from a marketing standpoint, it's brilliant. To have these three teenage girls singing these cutesy choruses and then pull out some kind of weird metal shit completely out of left field, it's the kind of thing that if you're a really serious fan of metal, you can listen to it and sort of understand these references that they're picking out. And if you're not a metal fan, it just is this crazy over-the-top spectacle. And put it in terms of YouTube, it just makes for great content.
What the hell? Is this the same video?
There's no way it's the same song. What?
This is sick.
But despite the massive success that they were having both in Asia and in the Western markets, the average metal fan definitely was not on board with them. And I think there's a lot of reasons as to why. I think the biggest one is that metal fans value what they perceive to be authenticity. And like I said earlier, that aspect of like individual craftsmanship in the music that they consume.
Yeah, but like I think that like even if you're not authentic and you're just trying to create something, when you do as much effort as baby metal to create like a beautiful art, I think that like authenticity like is something like you can like at certain points, like you gotta understand, like everyone is against like sellouts and stuff like that, but everyone is technically, because like at the end of the day, like everyone's end up like trying to sign a contract or become bigger, and it's not a fucking like evil thing to do. And I think that like there is like really this like debate about like, is an artist a nice person if they are like sellouts? And it depends, but like usually like for example, like for some examples, it's just people that like don't know better, and at the same time like just sign to have like someone who actually supports them. But it's just like interesting, like this whole like sell out, not sell out, like industry plans. Who cares at the end of the day, you know? If the music is good, who cares?
So to them, for Baby Metal to come out as this thing that was very clearly manufactured by the industry to be as marketable as possible just didn't really sit right with them, especially because it came out also that the girls themselves really didn't know or care about metal at all before they did the group. But to their credit, even though the group itself is most definitely manufactured as a product to make as much money as possible, which to be clear, I don't think is a bad thing, that's the case for lots of movies and TV shows and video games that
yeah, but at the same time, you know, like doing this much effort, like if you listen to Baby Metal and see the level of production, this much effort to do big money, they could have fucking stopped at some point and just like and not go for like the big show, you know, like, and they did. So it's like it cannot be for fucking money, because like look at the whole fucking like passion that these people are, and how much detail there is to their art, you know, like
we like, and I don't really see why music would be any different. But that aside, it's clear that the people who are the creative forces behind Baby Metal most definitely do have a genuine passion for the genre. For one, Koba Metal, who is the main mastermind behind the group, he's not just some guy from the music industry that cooked up this idea of Baby Metal purely for money. Sure, obviously that's part of it, but he is a genuine metalhead, and I think Baby Metal was really a passion project for him, where he was able to sort of combine these two worlds that he loved into one thing. And in terms of the backing band, which has had various different people in it over the years, many of which were in very legit established bands, and across the board, these are some of the most tight, technically proficient players that you're going to find in the entire industry. And if it wasn't for Baby Metal, the guys in the backing band wouldn't have the platform that they do, which number one, allows them to show off their skill to the world, and number two, allows them to make a lot more money than they would grinding it out in clubs playing to 100 or 200 people a night. But with all of that said, considering how much they just sort of exploded onto the scene,
yeah, the technical level of like the instrumental level of Baby Metal is also like off the roof. Like it's unbelievable. It's really fucking like pretty, you know?
With that first album, a lot of people were wondering if this was just a flash in the pan or if the band could stick around for the long term. Well, that question was more or less answered with their second album, Metal Resistance, which came out in March of 2016. And with this one, they played it a lot more straight than on the first album, although they still obviously had the whole like teenage girls doing metal kind of shtick. But this time the songs were a little bit less zany and more serious. They also toned down the genre bending aspect quite a bit, with the transitions being a lot more smooth, and just overall not having so much of that effect of like, what in the fuck did I just hear? The songs are definitely still diverse and very different from each other, but in a little bit more of a natural way. For example, the opening track, Road of Resistance, which is sort of power metal inspired, even featuring Herman Lee of Dragon Force. While on the other hand, you have a song like From Dusk Till Dawn, which is pretty clearly inspired by what Bring Me the Horizon was doing at the time. And it seemed like with all of this, their goal was to take Baby Metal from being what very much could have been a flash in the pan and turn that into a long-term project that could be around for years and years to come. And it's fair to say that they succeeded, because not only is this album sonically better than their debut, according to most people, but it proved that they were here to stay. Because as everyone watching this knows, not only are they still around, but they are more popular than ever. And overall, this album was a massive success, just like their first one. For one, Koba Metal received an Excellence Award from the Association of Media and Digital.
That's awesome to know, like for the guy, because like dude is just mega fan of metal and idols and wanted to fucking do something about it. It got the fucking award. Good on him.
Or AMD in Japan for his role in elevating the band's international success. And after the release of Metal Resistance, they made history as the very first Japanese act to headline Wembley Arena in London. which, as we
That's
all
cool as
know,
fuck.
if you have made it into the WWE as a metal band, you're pretty much at the top of the heap. And after a lot of touring, they started teasing their next release. In April of 2018, they put out a YouTube video called Metal Resistance Episode 7, The Revelation. And this video introduced the concept of a dark side within baby metal, inhabited by the quote-unquote 7 metal spirits, teasing the beginning of a new era.
An unknown dark side also exists. A legend of 7 metal spirits. The Chosen 7.
And this is probably a good place for us to get into the whole lore aspect of the band, where in their live show, they present themselves as one of the conduits of the Fox God, aka the 10 Tails from Naruto. I think this is some sort of a character in Japanese folklore, where they exist to spread their message through his music. They also do a fox sign with their hands instead of the traditional metal horns in a lot of their promotional material. And if you're into that sort of thing and you want to know more, they also released a graphic novel called Apocrypha, The Legend of Baby Metal, back in 2018.
This is really, really fucking cool.
Eventually, after all of that, in October of 2019, they
Let me check out if it's on... No, okay.
They released their third album called Metal Galaxy. And on that album, they more or less picked up where they left off with Metal Resistance, while also including some new influences that fit in surprisingly well with their sound. For example, some Indian influences on the song Shanti Shanti Shanti. In that same year, they were the very first Japanese band ever to play at the Forum in LA. And initially, they had planned another big touring cycle around the album, but as you might guess, COVID ended up putting a stop to all that, although there were still some interesting developments happening regardless. Most notably, they were featured on a Bring Me the Horizon song called Kingslayer, which ended up being one of their most popular songs. And after that, in December of 2020, they commemorated their first decade as a band with the release of their retrospective album 10 Baby Metal Years. And around a year later, they put out a cryptic video message hinting at a significant transition, which a lot of fans interpreted as them either going on hiatus or breaking up forever. The 3 metal spirits that have been shining since 2010, even if they were to leave Earth, would continue to shine forever in our hearts and across the metal galaxy. A legend turns into a myth, which turns into a living legend. What lies ahead beyond the end of the
Oh no, this is sad actually. They broke up. No.
stairway to becoming a living legend is something only the Fox God knows. But despite all the speculation, in October of 2022, they announced their 4th album called The Other One, which ended up releasing in March of 2023. And this was definitely their most focused work to date. For one, this was the first time that the girls themselves had any sort of input in the composition department, most notably the lyrics for Divine Attack, which were written solely by the lead vocalist Suzuka Nakamoto, aka Su Metal. And musically, this album is essentially if you combine sort of everything happening in modern metal with influences of J-rock. For example, the song Monochrome has some parts that really wouldn't be out of place on an Architects song. And they also pretty much completely ditched the whole like cutesy teenage girls gimmick, which was the right move to make because the girls in the group at that time were in their mid-20s, and that whole thing was kind of weird to begin with, at least from the perspective of Americans. And it's to their benefit because I would consider this their best and most consistent album to date. Which brings us to the last question of this video. What is their lasting impact? The main one, I think, is that they introduced metal to a group of people that otherwise probably would never have gotten into it. They essentially appealed to that like otaku, weeaboo, theater kid kind of demographic.
And they also like gave Japan like a new way to, because baby metal like entered an industry that like wasn't Japanese at all. Like, and I think that like they really offered Japan like a beautiful presentation and a beautiful example of what can Japan do when trying to do art using Western using like inspiration from Western culture. So really awesome, actually.
That's into anime or maybe games like League of Legends, which is an absolutely massive group of people that no other metal band had really been able to tap into before. Another thing is the fact that they were really the first metal band to really make it big out of Japan, which I would imagine probably inspired a lot of other people in Japan to see if they could do the same things themselves. And so with that in mind, I really don't think it's a coincidence at all that Japanese metal bands like Cold Rain or Crystal Lake got traction in the West after baby metal broke through. But I think really their biggest contribution is that they went from being really what is essentially a bunch of industry plants to now being something that is more and more closely resembling genuine artists, meaning that the people in the band have more and more input on the songwriting while also ditching a lot of those gimmicks and taking it a lot more seriously than they did in the beginning. And although there's nothing at all wrong with gimmicks, I think it's cool that they didn't just sort of ditch the group and throw it away as soon as like the cutesy girl gimmick had run its course, which you see a lot of times with idol music or for that matter with Western pop music. That certainly would have been the easy route to take, but instead they chose to stick around and reinvent themselves year after year after year and become something really totally different. And since they are really still a fairly new band, all things considered by metal standards, I think they have a bright future ahead of them, and I'm excited to see what their next move is.
I really hope that they do have a bright future, because like for real, like about being industry plants or whatever, like when you see the music videos and how they perform, they're so passionate about it. You can see that like they like what they do and that they really found themselves in this project. So yeah.
All right, everybody, that does it for this video. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. And also, I'd like to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon, especially those of you who
fucking crash. Come on.
support at the True Cult level or above. Patrons get all my...
Yeah, don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe to the Punk Rock MBA. Thank you so much. This was an awesome documentary. I got the answers that I wanted. Like this man is like really a fucking legend. All right. Let me check real quick if like everything is fucked or not. God damn, I need to fucking like check this out. So the answer is like perfect. Okay, we keep going then. Okay. Okay.
I love.
Oh my fucking god. Spring Autumn 2026. Gigak released a video 5 hours ago. If you do not know Gigak, this man, give him $1 billion and another $1 trillion. Like, this dude is a legend, like for real, and really awesome YouTuber. So yeah, Spring Autumn 2026. I'm actually excited because like what will he say? What will happen? Oh my fucking god, dude.
I love curry. I got new merch. It's available at dominar.shop. Links in description. And now, time for my coveted intro about the new anime season where I complain about there being too many shows. Oh my god, there's too many bloody shows! Ah!
Yes.
ソムリエル、できんたわ。
Ah, Drops of God, an anime about expert sommelier wine lovers, and to everyone who says that's just alcoholics written in cursive.
Blind tasting.
Shut the fuck up.
Jacob's Creek Chardonnay 1991! Drink!
When I first read the manga of this, I had no interest in wine, but I don't know, something about the concept of having a Japanese king of wine who died.
Let me just check one thing real quick. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Died and will leave his one treasure of his Vyrah. Something about the concept of having a Japanese king of wine who died and will leave his one treasure of his vast wine collection to the one person that can go out into the world and find the singular best bottle of wine that may or may not exist appeal to. Oh my god, it's fucking One Piece.
The One Piece is real!
Can we get much higher? So high, so high, so high, so high.
I tell you what though, folks, that's bloody nice.
あ、くそ。またバグで動かねえ。早く出ねえかな。修正パッチ。
Oh man, imagine waiting for a game to patch when you can play a game that's just come out instead. Like, didn't Neverness just release?
Is that the sponsor of today's video?
Oh yes. That's right, my fellow gacha gamers, the wait is finally over. I've already had the chance to give this game a test run and it was cooking hard back then, so I am beyond excited to be able to get stuck in the official 1.0 launch version now that it's finally here. But just in case this is the first time you're hearing about it, Neverness is the world's first anime-styled urban open world RPG. There's a massive urban environment broken down into 5 distinct city districts for you to explore either on foot or in a huge variety of different vehicles. The city itself is an expansive supernatural metropolis where humanity coexists with anomalies and urban legends. There's NPCs to interact with, dynamic weather and time of day cycles, you can explore inside buildings themselves, and on the topic of supernatural, there is, yeah, get this, a working public transport system. I know, right? London can never.
Let's not talk about the Americans.
It's a setting you can engage with through a variety of different game modes. Of course, there's a single player campaign, but also there's online multiplayer racing as well. But knowing me, the thing I'll be spending the most time doing is aimlessly exploring the city for hours and getting distracted by everything. The peak open world experience. To celebrate the official release, you can grab yourself hundreds of free pulls and even get a guaranteed S-class character just by leveling up. Neverness is available on iOS, Android, PC, Mac, and PS5 with full cross-platform support. Thanks again to Neverness for sponsoring us today, and with that said, let's get back to spring anime. We got our usual boatload of sequels. Classroom of the Elite, Dr. Stone, The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten, and Iruma-kun are still going strong, even though I'm not caught up to these series just yet. ReZero is now apparently in one of the peak arcs of the entire series, according to light novel readers, and that makes me even more excited for this one, because I already enjoyed Season 3 immensely. I got reincarnated as a slime is into its 4th season now, and this time it's coming back with 5 whole cores. That's like 60 plus episodes, so I can't wait to see more of this.
Luke
What the
is going to use
fuck?
his laser pointer to point to account setup. Then a whole new no, Luke.
Season 1 of Wistoria was a boatload of fun, so I'm excited to see what Season 2 has been cooking. We even got Ascendance of a Bookworm. If you're an Isekai fan, you are absolutely feasting with these sequels coming out, but of course, I've saved the best till last because we got the highly anticipated The Beginning After the End Season 2, and guys, sorry, wrong player. And guys, you may hate me for saying this, but this looks like a genuine improvement. Look, there's actual movements. I think we've doubled the frame count now to 10. I'm just saying, if this improvement rate continues, by the time Season 20 hits, Invincible Season 4 might just have some crazy competition.
It's like, hey, everybody look at me. I'm 1 part robot and 3 parts asshole.
Jesus Christ!
Anime has this amazing power of getting you invested in niche activities you'd never even heard of before, and I'm sure a bunch
This is actually so fucking true. I'm pretty sure that, like, by mistakes, the anime industry, like, created, like, fans of, like, such niche fucking, like, stuff. Well, like, a weeaboo is like, actually, I'm there for, like, the fucking thing, and some dude is like, well, how the fuck do you know this activity even exists, you know?
Of new gen fans are about to discover Rakugo thanks to Akane Banashi. Now, if this is your first show about Rakugo and don't know what it is, it's a traditional art of Japanese storytelling where a lone performer recites stories while sat down, using only minimal props and movements to convey the characters through subtle changes in their pitch, their tone, and...
This manga runs in the same magazine as Jujutsu Kaisen.
It's yapping with aura. This is a Shonen Jump adaptation that turns Rakugo into a revenge plot with battles, tournament arcs, and aura, coming from the director whose latest works include Witch Hat Atelier, because directing one anime of the season contender wasn't enough.
I want more.
This is one of the best examples of how anime can make a gripping, engaging story around an activity you have zero interest in. Because guys, remember, this isn't just yapping. It's yapping Japan. Ew. Now here's an actual unique concept. What if the powers of each season was given to 4 individuals, and these agents were the ones responsible for the changing of seasons around the world? Spring fucks off and Japan doesn't see cherry blossoms for a decade. Assassins are hired to try and murder the agents of winter. No idea about whose idea that was, and right from the very first episode, you feel the emotional weight this story tries to tell. Which should come as no surprise coming from the creator of Violet Evergarden. And while Kyoto Animation isn't animating this one, Studio Wit is definitely a worthy successor with how beautiful these early episodes looked. Pair that with Kensuke Ushio doing Kensuke Ushio things, and I definitely felt the emotions coming out watching these characters bawl their eyes out, finally being able to experience the beautiful turning of spring once again. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here in Thailand like, oh shit, summer's finally here. Oh shit, winter's finally here. Oh shit, spring's finally here. Oh shit, autumn's finally here. There's always one show every season I know is going to slip under everyone's radar, and this time it's the turn of Nippon Sangoku. When I first saw the trailer of this, I thought this was going to be another historical anime, but no! In fact, it's set in the future. A future where Japan has gone through a revolution, and the USA and China have both teamed up to overthrow Japan. The ruined Japan has been split up into 3 powers, and from the ashes we follow the rise of its new strategist, John Sangoku, a smart man lacking in motivation until his wife gets executed, head put in a box, and he decides to fight back against the murderers by spouting logic and philosophy. Blood literally looked at his wife killers in the eye and hit him with the Yes, if you couldn't tell, this is Romance of the Three Kingdoms meets post-apocalyptic Japan in one of the most stylized, visually distinct series in the entire season. And if that wasn't enough of a reason to put this show on your radar, I heard some random Aussie bloke was doing the music for it too. Alright guys, recent studies have shown that the new generation is drinking less alcohol. How do we get those sales numbers back up? Ooh, I got it. I got an answer. If you're gonna say cute girls drink alcohol. I told you, that's too basic nowadays. We need to add something more to spice things up. Gay. Make him gay.
Wine. 一緒にどう?
Alright, drops of God, you may have the world's 12 finest wines, you may have your fancy sommeliers, you can decanter it from such a height, but what's the point unless you can watch some cute anime girls doing the activity instead? And best of all, you got a dorm full of them, and we all know what that means in the world of anime. Gay girls. Guys, just because we have an all-female cast doesn't mean they're gay.
私 寮長の舌が欲しいな。
Oh, they gay. Super gay. I mean, come on, can you not tell?
ガブ。ガブ。ガブガブ。ガブガブ。
Damn, what is this show? A new fantasy action from Studio Bones? Alright, now this looks like Bones at their prime. This is the type of show you drop everything to immediately... Oh, it's from the author of Fullmetal Alchemist? I mean, I guess I can wait a bit before I watch it. Demons of the Shadow Realm. The return of FMA author teaming up with Studio Bones in an anime that feels like it's walked straight out of prime late 2000s action fantasy show. I mean, just look at this. We are so back. There's our main character, Ryan, Hawkeye, there's Ed, Elric, Envy's here. Oh man, I can't wait for Troy Mustang to come over with his fire glass. I don't know what I'm talking about. By far the biggest draw for me though is, spoilers for episode 1 if you want to go in blind, the setting.
中に馬が入っててすごい速さで走る
You thought this was a historical Demon Slayer-ass fantasy setting? Nah, it's the modern day with cars and helicopters. You've got demons who can gobble up people and fighting spirits with superhuman strength. And, well, also, there's the secret technique that's been passed down the Armstrong
line for generations!
I'm an absolute sucker for settings that combine traditional fantasy power systems in the modern day. So it turns out the secret to finally getting me to watch Fullmetal Alchemist was for it to not be Fullmetal Alchemist. Now every season I go through the spiel of highlighting the same 20 copy-paste isekai shows that come out, and I get it. You're tired of seeing the same stories catering towards the most unrealistic self-insert power fantasies, so I think it's time we just focus on the original things going on in other genres. Like gals can't be kind to otakus. Now this is a new romance comedy set in high school, and you see, unlike your typical unoriginal isekai protagonist, the main character here is actually a nerd who's a bit shy and socially anxious around girls, which, you know, is a concept we haven't really seen before in anime. Now he gets noticed by the popular gyarus in class, and I know what you're thinking. Dress up, darling. 2.5D seduction. Tomazaki-kun. Well now hold on a second, the twist here, unlike those other shows, is that this gyaru is secretly a nerd. Yeah, I know, right? A popular girl that likes anime. So, despite being almost polar opposites, they get to bond with the main character through this niche hobby. And I mean, I'm pretty sure the last time we saw a concept like this, the Zenin clan still existed. And then we got I Fell in Love with the Second Prettiest Girl in Class. It's a high school romance comedy. And the interesting thing here is that the main character is a nerd, and that's combined with this
can I send you a video for you to react to? Nah, I don't take requests from strangers. Sorry, you might understand why.
idea that he's kind of shy, probably has some social anxiety. But it's okay because he gets noticed by one of the popular girls in class. Now, under any other circumstances, these two would be complete polar opposites, but the real hook is that this girl is also secretly a nerd in the exact same hobby as our main character that they also bond over. And I mean, do I need to say any more? I think the last time we saw a concept like this, the Zenin clan was still fighting. Don't forget the klutzy class president and the girl with the short skirts. It's a romance comedy, this time in high school, about two people who are complete polar opposites with a Gary-inspired design for the main character. Love that concept. The Zenin clan was just murdered the last time we saw that. Mistress Kanan is devilishly easy. It's a romance comedy starring the popular girl in class in high school of all places, who this time is a devilish succubus.
Like an anime taking place in high school. Oh my fucking god, is this the first time we see that? For realizing they need to fucking realize that university exists, like, for fuck's sake, Japan.
Type character with the classic design philosophy of my boobs enter the room a full second before I do, taking interest in a guy who is her complete polar opposite. Honestly, it's so refreshing to see an anime where the popular girl in class goes for the normal guy. I mean, where is the Zenin clan now? It has been that long since we last saw that. I Want to End This Love Game takes an original twist to the romance comedy genre by setting off the story of protagonists starting a new phase in their lives. In high school. It's two characters who both like each other, but they don't realize they actually have feelings for one another, so they just drop subtle hints every day like and you know what? I get it. Sometimes you just gotta be upfront with your feelings and not leave any room for ambiguity. Even a replica can fall in love is a high school romance drama with some comedy in it. We've got Gambare Nakamura-kun. Now this is a new high school-based comedy with romance aspects to it. We got a shy main character, love to see it, but it also does capture this retro aesthetic that feels exactly like it came out of a time period where you look at a guy acting all nervous and flustered like this and go, why are you, mate? Gay? I mean, look at this guy. So anyway, this is a series about him trying to confess to another man. Kiryu Fan Club. Now this is one of my favorite new comedies, and it just so happens to be about a romance in high school. This time we have two girls.
Is it really oh my fucking god, can they stop with the fucking high school team, for fuck's sake?
Dealing with social anxiety.
キリオくんのそばでおならも聞けないのに。キリオくんがおなら？神でもおならはしていいだろ。もしもキリオくんのおならが引くほど爆音だったら。
And by that I mean anyone in society gets anxious when talking to them. There's even a romance comedy not set in high school.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
I'm not sure about this one though. I'm all for anime pushing boundaries with their ideas, but this one might be a bit too experimental for my liking. Okay, now we're talking original. Reincarnation. Imagine you wake up one day and you're 10 years younger. No, you've not de-aged. You've traveled back and woken up as your younger self. Well, that's exactly what happened to Vyrah. Imagine everything you could achieve with the knowledge you have. You could wreck rectify all your regrets. Buy some Bitcoin, invest in Nvidia stocks, warn the world about COVID. The possibilities are endless. So then, my god, he decides to get with the popular girl in school in this new high school romance comedy.
ねえ、私の気持ちは。
Alright, for real though, somehow there's more new romance coming out than seemingly anything else, so it can be hard to pick what to watch, but I did enjoy this one. Yes, it's another romance show in high school, but it does come from the author of one of my favorite romance anime of last season, You and I Are Polar Opposites. And while this one is pretty much the polar opposite of that, one of the hallmarks that remains is that the author is able to craft insanely relatable moments through its characters, no matter their personality. So, if I did have to pick a single romance show to watch this season, it would... Oh my god, they did it! It's beautiful! Absolute cinema! Rent-A-Girlfriend is here, baby! That's right! 15 million copies sold, 400 chapters in, and 9 years still going strong! We're gonna outsell Naruto! We're gonna outlast One Piece! Look at this prime rating! Just when you think we can't get any lower, the series keeps proving me wrong! We're pushing boundaries with this one, baby! Anyway, let's see what's going on with the Isekai this season. Yep, as expected. Looks like the same old isekai to me. Okay, this feels like it could be an isekai. Is it an isekai? Yep, it's an isekai. Now this seems more like your typical power fantasy. Look, they're so powerful, there is no way they could lose. They're so far ahead of the competition, they can't throw this. There's no way they can throw this. Rumiko Takahashi is still somehow active with a new show after all these years.
What are you gonna do? Bleed on me?
With Ranma getting remade and now this, we seem to have met her in a very Chinese time in her life. Ah, hell yeah! Another assassin anime!
結婚っていいイメージなかったけどよ。今日お前が話してんのを見て、んな悪いもんじゃねえのかなって思った。
Oh, hell yeah, another romance anime! Yep, Bones is here with a double this season, and this one is right out of the Spy Family playbook with another assassin comedy, this time with a romance twist. See, you've got an...
Oh, that's awesome. If you never checked out Spy Family, check it out. Give it a try. It's worth
assassin who's been forced to produce an heir, and he teams up with the world's biggest marriage swindler to find him a suitable partner, and honestly, this is just solid fun with some great action and wacky comedy. But we already know how this is gonna go. She's gonna end up setting up with some ladies, he goes on some dates, but I mean, just look at her, man. He's eventually gonna fall in love with her, they'll have this will they, won't they between them, and then it'll end up with them having sweet, sweet babies, cause let's be real, King Arthur couldn't pull me out of this.
私男だし。
Well, I mean, boys, it's 2026. We gotta respect great bakers, cause remember, cake is cake even if it's banana flavored. Anyway, what's next?
How fat are we talking?
It's about that size. Okay, that's... Ah, yes. We got Cockfighter, a new show about superpowered cockfighting massive cock using the mega ultra power of cock to save all cocks around them in this cock-shattering event where everyone is relying on cock to save us all. Then we go from Cox, the North Star inspired show, to the actual Fist of the North Star remake.
Hakuto.
Say that again.
Hakuto.
Hakuto.
Ah yes, one of the most legendary anime franchises of all time. Hokuto no Ken.
Spit on that name.
There's a new anime about opera school, which is the first time I've seen anime tackle that topic. Oh hey, a series exploring what it's like being a fan of VTubers. Wonder what they will have to say.
あなたは死にたくなったことある？
I'm conflicted about this one. On one hand, from a production standpoint, this is one of the most visually interesting with some of the most genuinely unique direction in the entire season, tackling the topic of the darker side of online influencers, which is a theme that is right up my alley. But on the other hand, damn. This has the subtlety of a Sawano drop. This is what it's like following a cast of walking Google Dockies. Like, I see the vision. It flip-flops between showing shades of being the perfect blue or lane of streaming, but sometimes it's just missing that nuance to make its messaging hit, and ends up reading more like some Facebook mom post about social media with the caption, "Images that make you think." Have you ever found your kid snorting his iPhone? I'm gonna give this one a few more episodes, but I'm hoping it doesn't get even more in your face edgy or it's actually gonna wanna make me die. That was a joke, guys. It's a joke. I'm not being serious. There's nothing anime could ever show me that would actually make me consider dying. Okay, actually, except just in time for the HBO remake, we got Harry Potter and the Black Anus. You know what? Sure, we can talk about this basically being the princess and the frog, except French kissing some cat's balls, but honestly, I was equally shocked to see a genuine, by the handbook, old school panty shot in the big 2-6. Like for real, I saw this and flinched like a veteran watching war movies or a kid hearing 6-7. See, if you want to go down the edgy route, you gotta fully commit to not giving a shit. Like, how about a power system where you slit your throat to summon historical figures of the past, where power scalers can finally settle the debate of who would win in a battle royale between Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Pol Pot, and... yeah. It's Fate Stay Reich, Unlimited War Crimes. And then we have a new show called Ghost Concert from the guys behind Symphogear that has given us another music anime with more great animation and action. Finally, the 12 Symphogear fans can finally start recommending this show to... the same 12 Symphogear fans. Aaron the Southpaw. Here's an interesting one. The original creator himself has come out to personally say he funded a small portion of this anime, which unsurprisingly has my respect. The mark of a true artist making a story about what it feels like getting into the world of art and the struggles of being a full-time artist. Let's see what this series has to say. Are you doing okay, bruv? Just last season, we had Frieren, sentenced to be a hero. Now we're getting more ReZero, Slime, and Mushoku Tensei is just around the corner. I don't think it's a reach to say that fantasy anime is going through a goddamn golden age right now, and yet, despite all of these heavyweights duking it out, somehow there is still space for one more juggernaut to enter the ring.
Yeah.
Witch Hat Atelier is a series that stands toe-to-toe with the best the genre has given us recently. But what sets it apart? Frieren presents you with such an emotionally poignant tale that has the power to change you for the better. Dungeon Meshi builds a world that feels so alive and connected on such an intricate level, and while Witch Hat is no slouch in either of those, the aspect it stands on a class of its own is its approach to magic. Magic by design is not typically something we're meant to comprehend. We see its effects, we see the broad strokes, but for the most part, magic remains exactly that. Magical, some fantastical concept beyond our understanding. But what if it wasn't? Witch Hat presents us with a magic system that brings a sense of tangibility I've not seen before in fantasy anime. At its core, it's a system a child could understand, and they do. Crafting a system that's so beautifully simple to grasp, you could start inventing your own spells in this universe. Yet as the series goes on, you begin to realize how infinitely complex it is to fully master. Magic. It's just another tool in this world, so what kind of world would evolve if the only thing stopping everyone from using it is the knowledge to do so? Every conflict, every character motivation, every beautiful and terrifying moment stems from these foundations. From the groundwork it lays, it tells a tale that will change the way you think about magic in a fantasy setting. Some of the production values of this just seem out of this world. You got this animation, you got the composer of the Souls franchise doing the music. Well, that's the thing, this is just the bar now for highly anticipated franchises like this. Jujutsu Kaisen, It's kind of hard now for new series without this level of hype to creep up and rival this level of quality. But things might be about to change, because I've heard rumors there could be this one show, a new show that has seemingly come out of nowhere and has gotten the Japanese animation industry quaking. Some say that with the staff members behind it, it could eclipse some of the best work that Studio Mappa, UFO Table, and Kyoto Animation has been able to achieve in the industry. And guys, I was actually lucky enough to get a sneak peek that I can now share with all of you.
Can we get much higher?
That's right, baby! 5 seasons strong, Renta Girlfriend is back! We're here saving anime with this one! Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gigok. Don't forget to leave a like. Thank you, Gigok. This was awesome. Witch Hat Atelier, give it a shot for real. For real, it's a good one. Maybe not for you, but it's worth a shot. For the rest, it's really cool. A lot of romance anime, so I'm into romance anime. So if it's not too fucking too fucking like for the youth, kind of like youthful. Like if it's too innocent, like I fucking like have the cannot be in fucking high school and people fucking being too young. But like that's a good news. Which that Hat Atelier is actually a good, a very good one. So yeah. Give it a shot. The rest is like I don't fucking know, because like which Atelier is like is such a curiosity and such a masterpiece already. Okay. Let me. Okay. Right. Did it okay. Okay, perfect. Let's keep going. Crimelight official release trailer, indie game, so let's check it out. Let's check the vibe. Okay. Actually, this is like so. The trailer is literally a translated Japanese trailer. It follows like all the quirks like of all the baseline of like a Japanese anime trailer. I think that the art direction is really inspired, and technically, like, if you don't know the fucking like Japanese gothic that they really beautifully like are able to animate, and or if you're not into this type of aesthetic, like, I completely understand that this is a mess for you, but like what they did is actually really powerful, pretty, and has really an aesthetic that is like really unique to Japan. And if you like it though, like, goddamn, you're in for a treat, because like this looks good. It looks like polished, and but the art direction like is completely successful as like other project, like as representing like gothic Japan, you know, like Japanese goth. So awesome for people who care, you know, like awesome for people who care.
These graphics.
Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. Am I like... I'll just check if everything... Oh, yeah. I wanted to check my last... yeah, kind of paranoid, but like at the same time, like losing footage is so stupid. Why did the PS2 look so cool? It talks about graphics. I actually wonder. It does look so cool, like PS2 vibes. It has like, it became an aesthetic itself. So let's check it out. It's by Extrament. Leave them a like and share the love. Let's check this fucking thing out, because like the PS2 do indeed look so cool. The aesthetic is absolutely unbelievable. Let's check. I want to know why.
These graphics. What about these locations? Despite being over 2 decades old, there's something about these visuals that people are still so obsessed with, to the point that many developers will choose them over modern graphics. Whether it's the charm of low poly textures or the fact that half the games were set on refreshing tropical islands, I want to find out what made the PS2 aesthetic so iconic. And also, so weird. But first, what exactly is the PS2 aesthetic? I'm sure you've seen videos of people using AI to recreate the look. They end up with an image that looks fresh out of Bully or Deus Ex. But the aesthetic is a lot more than just a filter. The graphics, the lighting, the atmosphere, it's all distinct. In fact, some of the effects were outright impossible to emulate on later consoles. For instance, in Gran Turismo 3 for the PS2, the asphalt had this really cool heat haze effect that made the tracks feel way more real. But when the PS3 came around, the developers found it was completely incapable of recreating it, despite being way more powerful on paper. And that's ignoring the original Xbox, which, while being roughly 3 times more powerful than the PS2, struggled to pack the effects of the exact same titles into a smooth 30 FPS. In games like Metal Gear Solid 2, the rain would slow it to a crawl, while the smaller console barely stuttered. The thing is, Sony had a trick up their sleeve, something that allowed them to create groundbreaking weather conditions and atmosphere that, frankly, embarrassed much stronger consoles. When the PS2 was being developed in the late 90s, they knew they wanted more from their games. More animation, more immersion, and naturally, more emotion. They didn't just want the characters to feel more alive though. Everything from the environment to the gameplay needed to be more intense and cinematic. They achieved this by creating the Emotion Engine, a cluster of processors built to help generate
That's actually a really beautiful name, the Emotion Engine. What the fuck?
Particles and simulate.
I respect this a lot. Wow. There's not a lot of poetry when it comes to fucking like computer circuitry, you know, like, and for a console to fucking like have an engine called the Emotional Engine. This is so fucking cool.
Cloth, rain, wind, and water at abnormal speeds. But with great power comes PS2 Hagrid. The gymnastics they had to do to make this engine even function came at a cost. A lot of the PS2 aesthetic revolves around this hazy, almost dreamlike filter that was layered over every game. It wasn't really an intentional choice though. It was a necessary trade-off for the engine's advanced effects and smoother gameplay. It just so happened to create an instantly recognizable style. Lights and faces have this unique, soft glow to them. On a technical level, this was often the result of games using vertex lighting. It calculates the light at the corners of a model and then blends it across the surface. It was simply cheaper and easier than doing the same for each individual pixel, which would have been the alternative. The consequence though is this blurred, softer look. The hardware was also responsible for the reliance on fog, another hallmark of the aesthetic. Silent Hill, Shadow of the Colossus, their fog isn't just hiding distant terrain, it's building atmosphere. Environments like forests feel so much more mystical. It begs you to keep exploring, slowly unveiling your surroundings instead of showing you everything at once. In Silent Hill, it was even more deliberate. By the second game, the fog had become an essential component of the art style and story. The PS2's Emotion Engine allowed it to be heavier and deeply claustrophobic. Still, these effects and filters aren't the only explanations for the aesthetic's popularity. There's just something so special about low poly graphics. And I know I'm not the only person who thinks this. It's become a whole niche today for graphic designers, with thousands of people intentionally using.
Yeah, basically like the PS1 like aesthetic created like an aesthetic for like some video games, and some people recreated like for in indie gaming, it appears more and more, and also like as an aesthetic, like for lifestyle kind of, and it is that it went like that fucking far with like the PS2 aesthetic. It really has like something like, I don't know, like really awesome to it, you know?
It in their artwork. In concept, it's pretty simple. Modern titles have more polygons, older titles have less. If you're looking at a bunch of chunky, flat surfaces, it's low poly. And if you're on the PlayStation 2, that's probably gonna be most of the games. Obviously not to the same extent as the PS1, but still at a point where you can count the number of rectangles used for Big Smoke's fingers. Chances are though, you remember these games as being just as immersive as the ray-traced, hyper-realistic worlds we get now. And personally, I'd say this isn't simply nostalgia or your imagination. Low poly trades detail for clarity. There isn't as much clutter and complex textures filling up environments. Your brain can immediately process and get a clearer picture of the objects, terrain, and enemies around you. And for the stuff that isn't there, you just use your imagination engine, the same one you use when you read a book or close your eyes. Many argue that this creates a more engaging experience because low poly graphics encourage you to fill in the gaps yourself. Kind of like how fog creates a constant sense of mystery. Until you've explored, you can only imagine what it's hiding. In both cases, it's what the game doesn't show you that makes you feel connected and intrigued. And that mysterious aura is exactly why people are so invested in the aesthetic. But it's still not the full picture. Because if you recognize most of the games so far, you might also remember a period from the late 90s to the early 2000s when studios were obsessed with tropical islands. I've touched on this phenomenon before, but I completely forgot just how popular it was on the PS2. Almost all of the games people reference were either on it or the GameCube. While Nintendo had Super Mario Sunshine and The Wind Waker, the PS2 had Final Fantasy X, Kingdom Hearts, Jak and Daxter, and Crash Twinsanity. All of these games either took place in tropical settings or made sure to at least visit them, and I get it because they're just so nice to look at. I love the look of their low poly palm trees, endless horizons, and the soft pink gradients they'd paint across the sky at sunset. Again, I really don't think these locations would hit the same with modern graphics. The bright and chunky visuals create this really satisfying contrast between the sand, the trees, and the ocean. If they were made today, the colors would be toned down and everything would look more muted and realistic. You lose half the charm that made these tropical locations so inviting. Of course, this fixation spread far beyond PlayStation. I mentioned the GameCube, but you'd also find it on the original Xbox and the Dreamcast. Sonic Adventure's Emerald Coast is possibly the cleanest example of the style. This brings up a question though, one that you're probably already asking. Why? Why did every studio randomly become infatuated with islands and the tropics?
Yeah,
well, for starters, it was easy. To make a tropical island, you really only need a couple trees and rocks. This requires way less processing power than something like a city. At a time when so many games were new to 3D, they often picked from the same handful of biomes for this very reason. So you saw a lot of deserts, snow levels, and tropical islands. With such uniform colors, developers could get away with using fewer textures and less detail. The end product would look good either way. That being said, the explanation does go a little deeper. In the early 2000s, advanced reflections, volumetric sunlight, and bloom were seen as markers of the next generation. And what better way to showcase
this is actually really profound and really beautiful. A really beautiful thing to know.
these than a tropical island? I mean, water suddenly went from being a flat blue plain to a graphical milestone. Waves, whirlpools, wind, it was the perfect setting. Looking back, a lot of these titles still hold up. Besides, shorelines and lagoons remain gorgeous. And imagine drinking the Super Mario Sunshine water at 3 AM. The reasons weren't all technical though. Many developers were directly inspired by places in Japan and Hawaii. For Japanese studios, it was often born of nostalgia for the country's subtropical islands. Regions like Okinawa. As part of the Ryukyu archipelago, Okinawa is packed with lush forests and bright blue waters. The lead writer for Final Fantasy X credits these very environments as the inspiration for Spira. Southeast Asia played a role too, particularly the foliage and architecture found in Thailand. Anyway, while I do miss this tropical period, it wasn't really the most memorable part of the PS2 aesthetic. In fact, most of its games had a completely different tone, one that defined what was arguably
let me just
arguably the darkest and edgiest period in gaming history. There's something about horror games from this era that people find distinctly unsettling. So much so that they've carved out their own space decades later, inspiring hundreds of indie games and artists. For example, you may have heard of PSX Horror. It describes the look and feel of survival horror games for the PS1. Characterized by crunchy, pixelated textures, low poly models and jagged edges, it's basically what you'd find in Silent Hill and early Resident Evil titles. A lot of their darker atmosphere came from technical limitations, and the same can be said for their sequels on the PS2. Mostly. You see, things started to change in the early 2000s. Suddenly, it was no longer enough to just be scary. Consumers wanted something grittier, something even darker. And so began the golden age of the PS2. Series that started off as family-friendly platformers were stripped of their innocence and given weapons and apocalyptic cover art. This was happening everywhere, but the PlayStation 2 was absolutely the epicenter. Even the tamest, most mediocre release would be wrapped in this epic, over-the-top aesthetic. Blood, explosions, metal. As we've established, it wasn't exclusive to horror games, but it was there that it really shined. They made an effort to explore darker, more provocative themes, paired with chaotic graphic styles. It was this edginess that led to more than a few titles being outright banned, censored, or restricted in certain countries. Games like Rule of Rose and Manhunt. But that's beside the point. What I'm more interested in is why these games are still so creepy despite their technically worse graphics. They're so effective, in fact, that developers choose them today over modern engines. Luckily, the answer is hidden in a single game. Armed with nothing but a camera, Fatal Frame places you inside Himuro Mansion, an abandoned Japanese estate deep within the forest. The found footage style intro reveals that you're searching for your brother, who went missing there weeks ago. But as you venture deeper and deeper within, you realize that Himuro Mansion is far from abandoned. The game offers a masterclass in transforming graphical limitations into psychological horror. Textures have jagged edges that shift and shimmer with every step. There's a grainy filter that intensifies in moments of danger. These are both markers of low fidelity visuals, but
cool.
Here they add to the game's unsettling qualities. Everything looks distorted, unnatural. It's also just really dark. Even with a torch, there's places you can't fully light up. This and its relatively low draw distance makes enemies terrifying. They just emerge out of the darkness or blend in until you're far too close. The result is some uniquely disturbing scenarios. At one point, you run into an unidentifiable blob of flesh rolling around the floor. When you photograph it, the game simply reads, "female head." Even smaller details, like characters' faces, are significantly more uncanny in this style. The entity's expressions are rigid and difficult to read, and oftentimes you can only make out a few disturbing details. A mouth, a pair of eyes. You can find these kinds of elements in pretty much every PS2 survival horror game. They share an aesthetic that worked because the graphics kind of didn't. But if we're calling games like Fatal Frame disturbing and unhinged, where do you find the words to describe this? Honestly, I had no idea where to even begin. Until I had some Gamechops. This tastes like the Super Mario Sunshine Water looks. With tons of flavors, caffeine, and zero sugar, I was able to lock in the most refreshing way possible. Being that time of year again, it's a great time to treat yourself or a fellow gamer in need. To get 10% off everything, click the link below or simply use code MINT. In the 90s and 2000s, ads were comfortable with getting a little freaky. Alright, maybe more than a little freaky. Nintendo ran a whole campaign for the DS centered around phrases like "touching is good" and "you can touch me down there if you want to." For whatever reason, they slapped this message onto everything. Imagine walking around with a shirt saying, "I was touched by the Nintendo DS." Kind of like the regional variants.
Well, no thank you, but like, no, really, no, it's a personal reason why I'm not into that. Like, yeah, what the fuck?
In Pokemon, they even made different versions for different locations. This one proudly reads, "I got touched at Panama City Beach." When it's that specific, it kind of stops being funny. Anyway, Nintendo weren't the only ones doing this, and Sony's were even more traumatizing. Their mental wealth advert for the PS2 featured a woman with a warped, alien-like skull. There's no context, no gameplay, and no mention of the console. Instead, she speaks vaguely about human potential, expanding our limits and our minds. Naturally, it was all very intentional. In the director's seat was Chris Cunningham, known for his work with Aphex next twin. The ad was made to be surreal and disturbing. The message isn't, here's a cool game box for your kids. It's, this console is the future and the future is weird. This trend continued with a mock ad for the PlayStation 9. The console is essentially just a drug contained within a glass sphere. When opened, it releases spores that shoot up your nose and anchor themselves to your adrenal gland. At the end of the ad, they finally show the logo for the PS2, alongside the words, the beginning. It's saying that buying a PlayStation 2 is like buying your own little piece of the future. Still, it's a little harder to decipher their print ads. An eye with the 4 symbols etched in blood, a headless body shopping for heads. Some are cool, while others are simply disturbing. Another shows a man with a series of molds, preparing to shape faces made of clay. Imagine being the poor fucker that gets squished into Homer Simpson.
The fuck?
Again, these were supposed to make you uncomfortable. They wanted the PS2 to feel otherworldly and powerful. And when people finally got their hands on it, it lived up to those expectations. Because it didn't just feel like the future, it looked like it. Booting up a PlayStation 2 for the first time is a memory that's hard to forget. A chime rings out as an ethereal pad swells in the background, creating a serene and futuristic ambience. The only time it didn't hit was when it played at 12 AM on a school night, but just as iconic as the startup sound were the visuals. The background features a collection of silver pillars rising through a blue haze. As you play, these increase in number, each representing a new game. The rest of the UI is relatively simple, but it still feels advanced, with abstract 3D elements and a clean black and blue color scheme. And it wasn't just the interface. The console itself had a bunch of futuristic variants and colorways. My favorite has always been the translucent ocean blue model. Released exclusively in Japan, It commemorated the sale of 10 million consoles. Both the controller and case are see-through, so you can look at everything that's going on inside. I've said it before and I'll say it again.
That see-through is something like so fucking pretty.
And clear tech needs to come back. That being said, even the plain silver version was iconic. It's so sleek. Now, none of this was random. The UI, the marketing, the aesthetic. It was all part of a cohesive vision, a vision with a very clear purpose. On paper, the PS2 wasn't the most powerful, it wasn't even the most affordable, but none of that mattered. The PS2 outsold all of its competitors combined by a factor of 3, with over 160.
And it's still, if I remember correctly, the console. No, maybe it's the Nintendo DS or something. But like, it's one of the consoles that like has still sold the most in general. Just to give you an idea, because like right now everyone buys, like the console market exists, you know. But back then, it was something like kind of like it was kind of like a sect, you know. Like it wasn't something completely like promoted or anything. It wasn't a hobby that didn't took over the world yet, and yet like the PlayStation like really shine in such a way, because like everyone got one. Everyone, like
60 million units sold, it remains the most popular console of all time. Why? Because it was more than just a console. Sony was selling an idea that by purchasing a PlayStation 2, you were buying the console of the future. And in many ways, you were. They did everything they could to cram in groundbreaking effects, stunning settings, and a library of games that's yet to be rivaled. With all of this in mind, it's no surprise that the PS2 aesthetic became legendary.
And also like an idea of a philosophy when talking about the PS2. But I think that like it's something that like he talked about, but that we cannot like really talk about, because like back then, before the PS2, do you know what there was? The fucking PS1. You get it? Like the fucking like best of the best was the PS1, right? And so when the PS2 got released, it was the fucking new thing. Now we have like so much history that like it's hard to tell yourself, yeah, the fucking next the fucking PS5, right? Yeah, better than the PS4, right? But like the PS4 was like before the fucking PS1, there wasn't any fucking PlayStations. And I think that like because of that, like what he talked about when it comes to like marketing and being in the future, it actually meant something that like cannot be replicated, and it's kind of like hard to pinpoint to kind of like notice if you don't take the time to think about it, you know. But like, this was like an awesome video.
If you enjoyed this video and want me to cover your...
Yeah, leave a like, subscribe to Experiment, awesome YouTuber. Thank you so much for the video.
Hey, what's up?
Okay. I'll just check this out. Okay. Right. Five WoW records that will never be broken. Epic drop, leave them as a sub, a like, share the love. 5 records that 5 were WoW records that will never be broken. Actually curious. Actually really curious. Like.
Hey,
let's check this out.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to this Epic Gamer video. So I'm sure many of you guys are aware of WoW players that have taken things to the extreme. However, there are some WoW players that have done things truly amazing, or have taken things a little too far. In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 WoW records that will never be broken. So let's get right into it. Starting off this video is Factionless Max Level. So as we all know, from the beginning of WoW's history,
oh yeah, I heard about this one. It's a fucking panda. Like, this is like so creative, and it's such a way to fucking like just be a fucking like just be a nuisance on the internet, but like really like in a really like wholesome way, you know? Like some dude discovered that like he could fucking stay neutral in WoW, and he fucking did it, and it's really wholesome. But like, what a fucking menace, you know? Like
you have to choose your faction, either the Horde or the Alliance. This has been the case since Vanilla WoW, but in Mists of Pandaria there was the Pandaren race who started off the game factionless. In the starting zone for the Pandaren, you reach the end of the questline where you are forced to choose between playing as Alliance or Horde. Blizzard obviously intended for you to inevitably leave the Pandaren starting zone at about level 10. However, a player named Neutral Agent had other ideas. He decided to make the most out of his character without ever leaving the Wandering Isle. He's been playing for over 8 years, leveling up his character by picking mining and herbalism nodes to gain small amounts of experience to level his character up. It's worth mentioning that the XP you get from mining copper ore and Peace Bloom is minuscule relative to XP needed to level up near the level cap. In fact, near the end of the level cap, he was getting 20 experience per herbalism or mining node picked. To simply go from level 119 to 120, you would need about 1 million experience. Not counting all the levels before that, however, Neutral Agent managed to do the impossible, and on 2018, October 27th, he reached the level cap of 120 without joining the Horde or Alliance. In fact, he makes a tradition of streaming his leveling process to the new level cap with each new expansion. Blizzard recognized the streamer's insane dedication to staying neutral that they even made him an NPC. You can find the NPC.
This is what I like about Blizzard, is like, as much as like you can criticize Blizzard for many things, like some dude like really found a creative way to become like a legend in WoW, and Blizzard really like recognized it and fucking kept it, and now he's a legend that is immortalized in WoW. And I think that like this is a part of the game that people really don't fucking talk about when they complain about Blizzard and Activision and the way like the game is run these days. I think that like these examples, it's still something that like is still like it's not a tradition that is left in the past, like something that can still happen in the game if you do something amazing. And I think that like it really talks about like a part of Blizzard that like people tend to forget, that is really wholesome and really all about like just gaming and loving gaming.
Called Venerable Shaman in the monk class hall, running around the zone, mining ore and picking herbs. But considering the long hours he put into accomplishing this crazy feat, I don't think anybody will be trying this challenge anytime soon. Raiding during an earthquake. So I'm sure many of you have been playing WoW during some more times when you felt sleepy, sick, or whatever, and maybe you felt hardcore. However, in this circumstance, a WoW player took his dedication to a game to a whole new level. A WoW player named Rio Sierra was caught raiding during the Legion World of Warcraft expansion. His guild was fighting a really tough boss that they hadn't beaten yet called Odin. During the fight against Odin, this WoW player starts experiencing an earthquake in real life. Despite his room literally shaken and being flung out of his chair, he still tries to play WoW and help his guild take down the boss. He manages to ignore the earthquake, but it got to the point where he couldn't play and his character in-game dies due to the AoE damage in-game. I think it's pretty amazing that the earth itself is literally shaking and the foundations of your house are moving, but you are still committed to maintaining your DPS. It's quite dedicated, especially considering that this was apparently a 7.8 earthquake in magnitude, which by the way is very, very big and above average. It sounds like an excuse for messing up, but it really did happen. Luckily enough, he came out of it okay, and nothing bad happened to Rio. Collecting all plate transmog. So transmog in World of Warcraft is a big deal, and a lot of players have dedicated their playtime in WoW to collecting things like pets, mounts, and of course transmog. However, transmog in WoW is so vast, there are so many expansions, many quest items, many gear pieces that can provide a different model for your character to wear. A WoW streamer by the name of Desmosfisto has been playing WoW and doing some charity streams. One goal he set for himself was to collect all the transmog for his class, in particular plate transmog. Now, any transmog collectors watching this will know how insane that goal really is, as in World of Warcraft there are 11,000.
If you like I also like do completionism but like the transmog thing, I was like, no, I will not do completionism about this because what the fuck? Like it's way too much, it's not rewarding, but like if you fucking there, quite the fucking scary person because like, oh my fucking god, like you start with fucking nothing and it's a grind that is like, at least it's easy in certain ways, but like, oh my fucking god, who the fuck wants to do that? Like I've seen like when I was like doing some achievements, like people will calculate for like the on Wowhead how much like resources you need to buy all the transmog, but like basically like it's numbers that are like for like a small event so stupid that like I was like, what the fuck? But like there's a community for that, it's wholesome. Like it's just like these people like they take fucking grinding to another level, you know.
697 plate transmog appearances to collect. That's a tremendous amount of grinding, questing, mob farming, and raiding collect all these appearances. However, Desmosfisto managed to do it. The final piece of equipment he needed was the Crimson Carapace leg plates, which has a small chance of dropping from a Warlords of Draenor Garrison weekly quest. This required over 100 attempts, however he finally did it on stream, collecting the final piece of plate transmog.
Bam! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh!
Let's go. What a legend.
Most viewed WoW video. So in World of Warcraft, there are a lot of different content creators on YouTube and Twitch. However, what I ask you, which YouTube video about WoW has had the most views? Some people may assume it would be a trailer or an expansion or something. However, those who played back in the day will know it belongs to Leroy Jenkins. For anybody who doesn't know, Leroy Jenkins was a famous World of Warcraft clip on the internet that transcended the game and became part of mainstream internet culture. In the early days of Vanilla 2005, a WoW player named Leroy Jenkins made a video where his guild is discussing strategy of how to beat a boss in the dungeon, when Leroy charges in and aggroes all the mobs in the room, forcing his guild to fight, which, of course, leads to a wipe. This clip is classic, however, one point it had was over 40 million views on YouTube. Unfortunately, the video was either taken down or the channel got deleted, but it's crazy to think that this meme became the biggest WoW video or even one of the biggest gaming videos of all time.
Damn.
There are, of course, re-uploads of this video with tens of millions of views, but the original was definitely the most viewed video about WoW, which is pretty cool.
Let's get them down fast because we're bringing all these guys. I mean,
let's do this.
We'll be in trouble.
Leroy!
I think it's a pretty good plan. We should be able to pull it off this time.
Thumbs up.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Oh my god, he just ran in. Oh my god.
Oh, keep spotting.
More spotting.
I don't think you can cast with that shit. Oh my god.
World first level 60. So Vanilla WoW was way back in the day. In fact, it was released as early as 2004. Back then, a lot of people approached World of Warcraft, and the gaming scene in general was very different. For this reason, it's unclear who got the world's first level 60 back in the day of Vanilla. However, a hunter by the name of Joanna owned the record for the fastest level 60 of 4 days, 20 hours, and 52 minutes on your slash played.
Damn.
This back in the day was very impressive. However, when Blizzard released Classic WoW in 2019, the WoW community had a significant amount more knowledge and experience playing the game. One player named Jokabi set out the task of reaching level 60 in Classic WoW before anyone else. This was seen as a big competition with old school WoW players, and several noteworthy players and guilds including Method attempted to get the world first level 60 during the launch period of Classic WoW. Jokabi was a relatively unknown player and was streaming a speed run to get 60 the first. Unlike conventional wisdom back in the day, he opted to play as a mage instead of a hunter, which was previously thought to be the fastest levelers. Mages in Classic have tremendous AoE damage potential with spells like Blizzard and crowd controlling abilities like Frost Nova, which allowed them to level significantly faster than other classes. Jokabi was grinding out levels on his no mage, taking advantage of the mage's OP AoE farming abilities. Jokabi grinded his way to level 60 and basically never slept the 4 days. Only sleeping a handful of hours, he reached level 60 with a slash played of 3 days, 20 hours, and 40 minutes. A significant accomplishment considering the second closest to Jokabi was a level 56. It even got to the point where 300,000 people were watching this event take place live.
Yeah, like Jokabi actually, like when Classic got released, like if you didn't saw the dude, like because like it was well known, and it's a beautiful story. It still streams, and it's a really beautiful story of like a fucking random that like really a small content creator that really like became a legend by fucking like winning at this race, right? And after that, like he became like a well-known like just like a regular WoW Classic streamer. Where I think that like it's really awesome because like it really took like the success that he got from basically a stunt, right? Well, he actually kept it, and now he has a platform and stuff like that, and it's really awesome. So yeah.
Think about that. 300,000, Ninja and Tfue don't even get those numbers combined. This is a record that can never be broken. However, when the Burning Crusade expansion comes out, it will be interesting to see the WoW community compete for the world's first 70.
Yeah, but it won't be the same. Like, it was never the same, because like the Classic was like this one-time event. Like, you either were there or not, and it's kind of like the thing where past that it's like, yeah, you can kind of like do competition or whatever, but like, nah.
Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see.
Thank you so much, Pick Drop. Don't forget to leave a like for the content. It's really awesome. Let me just check if everything is alright. And I'm okay. Okay, I found something really interesting. This is how the fights will sound like if you're there in free ren. So, spoilers for free ren if you didn't saw the first season past your turn. But like for real, this is actually like really interesting. Like, how does it sound without the music, without the drama, without like anything? How does like a free ren fighting sounds like? So let's check it out. Damn. What the fuck? Oh my, thank you so much, Martin Toe, for like leave a like and a sub. What the fuck? It actually like, since like I never saw actually like a fight. There is like some fights in anime where like there is like less music just to make it, but I never saw like a full fight, and it's actually like, maybe I did, okay, but like on this one, what the fuck? It sounds like, you know, Free Ran, when you watch it, Tarek, Free Ran, very good. Yeah, very good. I fucking love it. When you watch Free Ran, it's really innocent the way that she fights, but you know that she's strong. And with this video, it actually shows how fucking like terrifying Free Ran is, and how scary she is because of how powerful she is, and a way that like in the anime it never, and she's the best at it, but like it doesn't sound as you understand like there was a demon that like understood like that Free Ran doesn't fuck around, you know, and basically like you understand that like Free Ran is like, you really feel that she's this death sentence, and it doesn't like sound that much, but like on this one it sounds like it was how she's described, like a fucking death sentence. I love it. Thank you, Martin Cole, for like this is awesome. What the fuck? All right, let me just check if everything is working. I'm following the series. I watched everything so far. I am actually like I need to fucking get back into it, because like I didn't got the time to fucking do it. But to me, like, really became like one of my favorites, and technically like yeah, no, like really a beautiful anime, and but like right now I'm watching another anime, so it's like I'll get to it, but like I know it's good. By the way, Tarek, like if you love wait, Tarek, let me see, do you have like do you have a fucking what the fuck is this person? Do you have like a Discord? Ah, fuck it. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you on Twitch. Like, if you liked Free Ran, I'll send you the name of an anime that just got released that is also awesome. At WeChat Atelier, like maybe you already saw it, but like yeah, it's really fucking awesome. Let me just check if everything is in order on my side, if I got the VOD right. Okay. Okay, so yeah. No, I don't know that one. I'll check it. Yeah. Oh, if you don't know, actually, big time. Actually, good, big time, big production, and actually already like the manga is absolutely unbelievable, and the production value is really great on this one. If you loved Free Ran, you will for real give it a try, and let me know if you liked it. All right. I will. I'm up for now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Tarek, for like visiting my stream, blessing my day. I'll see you another time, and as always, be toxic.